The
Yeah,
second, the second article again from Creative Block, which I found was quite interesting, was like the 15 rules of crafting perfect logos. Again, it's always the common design companies: VW, Apple, Nike, Beats. I really do like the Beats logo actually. I know Dr. Dre is a bit seen as a controversial figure because of his past, shall we say, especially when it comes to violence. So the name Beats by Dre is quite inappropriate if you think about it. But I think as a logo of what it actually is, it's such a beautifully simple shape. And it just basically this article goes about like what's important in logo design, like the golden rules of logo design. I'm quite skeptical when it comes to like the golden rules of logo design, because a lot of them, like if you take the Apple logo for instance, it's quite beautiful in a shape, right? It has nothing to do with computing when you look at it. It's not like a representation of tech. But then you take, say, the Coca-Cola logo, which is a complete opposite in every possible facet, but it's still considered up there as a beautiful logo. So it's like when you look at the golden rules of logo design, you have to be careful in how much you buy into some of the BS that's often propagated. And if you just look at the timeline of like the Apple logo, it just kind of shows that having something that stretches throughout time is really important. What do you think about this article? I mean, these things are interesting, inspirational, but when I look at because I've done the history of branding before. Go on.
no. I think it's always some of these brands are so iconic that I like to like peel back the curtain and understand the process of how they got there. Like the Apple logo, I actually loved the multicolor original Apple logo. I thought that was like so compelling at the time, and now it's just the silhouette of an apple.
Yeah, if you
And
scroll
the
down
Beats
the
one,
article, if you scroll down the articles, we're screen sharing as well for the videos. But if you scroll down the article, you actually see like the evolution from 1976.
oh, this is sweet. Yeah.
So it goes through like the original
Cool.
illustrative logo from Apple, which they commissioned an illustrator to do that. Like a really detailed illustration.
Look at the 1976 version. Like, look at the jump. So, like, the 1976 version, I can't even really tell what it is. It looks like it's like Isaac Newton sitting under a tree that says the Apple Company, which I've actually never seen that logo. And then they make this like massive leap to the iconic 1977 logo, which has like the multicolor, the green, yellow, orange, red, purple, blue Apple logo. And then I guess the 1995 one was really just like, if you think about it, that's like peak internet.com era. Everyone's trying to be like sleek and trendy. And then the other thing I like is at the turn of the century, 2001, you have this like new era, new decade, like more sleek, super polished, technical version. And then they went back. I didn't never realize that in 1998 Apple had the same logo as they did when they made the change in 2015. So I think I actually love this progression that we saw.
Yeah, no, the 98 version, I'm not sure if this timeline is actually accurate, because the 98 version looks like the iPod silhouette design that they did. Remember, it's like the block colors and you could see people dancing with the visual thing. There was the white headphones. And the thing with Steve Jobs, he had this thing of he never liked showing the products in the ads, because I think he followed Nike's philosophy of you never saw the shoe, you only saw like the movement, the motion, the sports person, like what can be achieved, the just do it. So it's all about an idea rather than you're trying to sell a product. So, but yeah, I mean, anyways, I mean, I think the Apple logo is like take a bite out of an apple. I think that was their slogan. I think that's why there's the bite in it. And the bite was spelt like BYTE, as in computer bite. I think that's where it came from.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, I mean, this article
I never realized that. That's super cool. I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, I think that's what it is from what I can remember. But then you look at, say, the Nike logo. That was designed by a student. I think they paid $30 for it. If you can imagine, $30, and that's the most famous sportswear brand. But what was great about the designer who did it was years later they were given a golden Nike ring and like something like $100 million worth of stock from Nike. So they made it right to the student, right? Because they thought, we can't just pay $30 for this thing and just be like the most biggest sportswear brand and not help the designer. So they made it right in the end. So I think Nike has the award for like the most expensive and cheapest logo of all time as a result. So that's quite interesting. But yeah, so some of these examples, like okay, this like just as you scrolled on, always get a second opinion is like some of the faux pas you get in logo design, and we've all seen them where the shape from the designer's point of view it's supposed to be like a statue, but then it's like it looks like something else when you do a double take. We've seen many of these logos, so
yeah, I always think this kind of goes without saying though, but like, designing by yourself can be dangerous because when you're staring at a logo for a long time, the colors, the shapes kind of blend together and you kind of lose perspective. So I do think that, this is obviously just like a funny example, but I'm sure like designing in groups, it goes through like a million iterations before it actually gets handed off like this. But this one I've seen before. And if you don't know what we're talking about, just Google the Brazilian Institute of Oriental Studies and you'll see the logo that we're talking about.
Yeah, it looks like a building being shoved up someone's backside. It's as a point of reference.
It's like the most British way of explaining it ever.
I was trying to, without saying the A word, but just to sort of cap this article off, like the golden rules that they lay out is lay out the groundwork, make sure you go through sketches, think about the logo working in full color and black and white, keep it appropriate, aim for recall so that people can actually recognize the shape, try to explore and strive for difference, consider your own typography, don't be too literal. Like very common sense things. One thing which I saw recently, I think Chris Doe shared it on on LinkedIn, and someone designed a logo for, I think it's art, it's like an art group, and so what they've done is they've made it the word art, but it looks like a boot, two boots walking, so they've reversed the R so that looks like a boot, and the T looks like a boot. And as a concept looked great. The problem is they just took the letters and they just tilted them. What would have been nice if they actually massaged the shape of the letters so it looks a little bit more like the form. I think that's when you go from a decent idea to like a great execution. And so so this is a good article that's worth checking out.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of Design Huddle. The opinions expressed are solely our own and do not express the views or opinions of our employer.